Let's bring in Scott Seidenberg as he's joining us on most Thursdays to help us out with the last-second dope on the Thursday night football game and then what we need to bet for college and the NFL. What's up, my friend?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm real good. I'm kind of fired up about this game tonight because this is one of those I love to bet against overreactions, but I don't really have a good read on this game because there's no overreaction. I don't know what either team is yet.
That's the thing, right? And we saw a flip of the favorite in this game. You know, Arizona opened up as the favorite, and the money has come in all on Seattle. And I think to your point, we just don't know how good Arizona is because they beat two of the worst teams in the NFL. And I know that Thursday nights are pretty much an advantageous spot for the home team, but they were in a grind-out game against the 49ers on Sunday where the Seahawks had a cakewalk performance on Sunday. So if you're asking me which team had more wear and tear coming into the short week of preparation, it's clearly Arizona. So I think that Seattle does have an advantage here.
Do you have anything on the prop front at all?
I'm going to go under on Trey Benson for his rushing prop. He has to take over now for the injured James Conner, and I just don't know if he is capable of being a number one overall running back right now. Now, he's very talented, but if you look at the prop market here, he is being lined at a similar price to what we saw James Conner being lined at. And he's not the same running back as James Conner. Now, his numbers are skewed because he had one long run earlier this season. But to me, I think that there's too much stock put into Trey Benson's prop market right now. I'm going to go under on his rushing yards, but I do like over his receiving yards because I think Arizona will be trailing in this game. Kyler Murray with some dump-offs, and I think Trey Benson can get over the 21.5 receiving yards, but I'm going to go under his rushing yards.
Sunday NFL coming up in less than 5 minutes with Scott Seidenberg here on ESPN Las Vegas. Let's hit the college football slate. I mean, this is an incredible slate of games. First up, what do you want to do with Ole Miss and LSU?
Yeah, don't bother me on Saturday, okay? Because this is an incredible slate of games, as you mentioned. I'm on, Ole Miss. This is the Magnolia Bowl, right? Ole Miss and LSU here.
Okay.
I love Ole Miss in this spot. They have shown me a lot this season. I know Trinidad Chambliss is going to start another game here for Ole Miss, and that's the right decision by Lane Kiffin because the kid's been tremendous through two starts this year. 719 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He's also rushed for 195 yards and 2 scores. And what I love about Ole Miss is the chunk plays. 31 plays this season of at least 30 yards. That's the difference between them moving down the field and scoring and the other teams. And LSU, they just don't create enough defensive negative plays. Like they're 45th in defensive havoc, and they only have 16 plays all season where they're getting chunk yardage, 20 or more yards. So the big play will be a factor here in this game. I think Ole Miss wins at home. You can lay the 1.5 or just go Ole Miss on the money line, but I think the Rebels get this victory here at home.
Bama's had amazing success against Georgia over the years, winning 9 of 10. No Saban, though. What do we do?
Well, Georgia has the nation's longest home winning streak, 33 straight games between the hedges that Georgia has won, and I'm not going against that trend. And speaking of trends, Alabama, we have seen here, under Kalen DeBoer, has not done well away from Tuscaloosa. They're 2-4, both straight up and ATS on the road. They're failing to cover those games by 9.7 points per game. And I understand both these offenses are going to convert in the red zone. Georgia, 14 red zone trips, 11 touchdowns. Alabama, 15 red zone trips, 12 touchdowns. So I do like the over in this game. We saw last year be a very high-scoring game between these two teams. But Georgia showed me something in that Tennessee game. They could take punches early and come back and still beat you. So I think Georgia gets the victory here in a high-scoring game like we saw last year.
We've been talking about Penn State all week and that it feels like no one is on the Penn State side. We found someone yesterday who was leaning Penn State. What do you want to do in this game? Penn State at home against Oregon.
I'm taking the 3.5 with Oregon.
Okay.
And this is the thing, right? Both these teams are incredible. I don't want to take anything away from these teams. They are two of the top teams in the country. And this could be the first of maybe, 3 games we're going to see them play against each other this year? They'll play here on Saturday. They could play each other again in the Big Ten championship game, and they could match up again in the college football playoff because I think both of them are playoff teams. The thing is, though, what can we take away from Penn State's first few games? They have played the 136th strength of schedule. That is dead last in the country. They haven't played anybody. Meanwhile, you look at all the advanced metrics. Oregon's number one in ESPN's FPI. They're number one in many advanced power rankings. And their offensive line has been absolutely dominant, allowing just 1 sack so far this season. I think the Ducks get the job done here on the road.
Scott Seidenberg is with us here on ESPN Las Vegas. Scott, tell people about your podcast, and then we know you do the stuff with VSiN. It's on 12:30 The Game, but your podcast.
Yeah, every day podcast, Better Day, Bettor, like a sports bettor, Better Day. Make sure every day is a better day. You can listen to the daily podcast. Also put out a newsletter every single morning, get you the best bets, trends, all the info you need to be a sharper bettor, if you will.
It's always fun tracking the money on games. Believe it or not, 53% of the money right now is on Notre Dame against Arkansas, and yet the line is down to 4. So I guess it's the quality of the money. Who's spending the money on the Arkansas side? Do you agree with the line movement and what's going to happen in this game with Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's tough because Marcus Freeman said that he's not going to take over the defensive play calling duties.
Oh boy.
But maybe he should, because this clearly hasn't worked out with Chris Ash. Like, the defense is not what everyone expected it to be coming into the season, and that's the difference for me. To me, the money is coming in on the right side. Texas A&M has showed us, they showed us last week against Notre Dame. Like, Notre Dame has not proven that they can make the big stops. Another way that I would play this, though, forget about the spread. I might just go Arkansas's team total to go over, because I think they're going to be able to score points. Notre Dame also, when we talk about negative plays, they're 132nd in defensive havoc. So they are not creating big defensive stops, big negative plays. They have allowed 27 points or more in all 3 of their games this season. So if you don't want to look at the spread, and maybe it's just a high-scoring game, the total's up there for a reason, go with an Arkansas team total over.
This one's really interesting. This almost never happens. I have to look up the historical data. I know it's very rare where the number one team in the country is laying less than double digits against an unranked team. But that's the situation right now with Ohio State, 8.5 at Washington.
Yeah, I talked about Georgia having the longest winning streak in the country at home at 33 games. Washington has the second longest home winning streak in the country at 21 straight games. This is also what we have to keep in mind. This is the first road game for Ohio State, which means it's the first road game for quarterback Julian Saban. And that's a spot where I want to fade that quarterback. And this is what I did look up. Home underdogs, undefeated home underdogs against the number one team in the nation, while only 2-13 straight up, they are 8-7 against the spread. And so you mentioned they're laying, single digits here. I like taking Washington plus the points. Their running back, Jonah Coleman, leads the nation with 9 rushing touchdowns. I think that they're going to be able to move the football against Ohio State. They're 6th in EPA per play, 11th in success so far this season. And I just don't want to lay this many points on the road with a quarterback in Julian Saban that has not played a road game yet. So I'm on Washington.
NFL time with Scott Seidenberg here on ESPN Las Vegas. I think it's 6, right? 6 teams in the NFL are 0-3. I know you did a little deep dive on 0-3 teams. What happens this week?
Yeah, so if you go back to the start of the 2021 season when the schedule expanded and the preseason shortened, so this is kind of like the new world of the NFL that we live in, 0-3 teams in week number 4 are 9-3-2 against the spread. They're covering by 4.5 points per game. And if you want to go back even further, in the last 10 seasons, we're still 66% ATS, 27-14-3 against the spread. But the big jump here is, what we've seen them do as favorites. And so far this week, we only have the Dolphins and the Texans as favorites this week. But these teams in the last 4 seasons are undefeated. They're 4-0 straight up. They're winning their games by 7.5 points per game, and they're 3-0-1 against the spread. So maybe look at the Dolphins and the Texans to pick up their first victories here this week.
Okay, that said, should I take 15.5 with the Saints against the Bills? Uh-oh.
Why? Because
I love betting into bad teams. I really do. I love it. I'm a sucker.
No, I get it. I get it. It's a big number, right? And you think for Buffalo, they just want to get the victory and then move on, right? And we've seen the Saints be somewhat competitive, but if we go back, look at last week's game. If I told you can take 15 points with them last week, you don't want anything to do with that. So to me, it's
just
absolutely a stay away spot.
Yeah.
No,
just say it.
Here's what you can do.
Don't do it.
Here's what you can do.
Yeah.
Go with the Saints team total. If you think the Saints are going to cover, they're obviously going to score. So just bet their team total because you're going to get a significant discount on their team total because they're such heavy dogs.
Lions-Browns, another one up there in the double-digit range. What's the latest number on this one? It's at 10 still.
I'm back in the Lions here. I am fading Cleveland hard after their big win against the Green Bay Packers. So I looked this up. If you won a game as a touchdown underdog, and then you are a touchdown underdog the next game, in the history of the database that I'm searching on, teams are 10-74 straight up, 30-54 against the spread in those situations. If you want to just go back since the start of the 2012 season, 3-23 straight up, 8-18 against the spread. This is a bad time to back the Cleveland Browns. They're fat and happy off of a game where they won miraculously despite being down 10-0 with 3 minutes or so left. I think this is a great spot here to fade the Browns, and I think the Lions pour it on.
Scott Seidenberg on Cofield Company, ESPN Las Vegas. I can't find anyone who has any confidence in taking the Cowboys plus the points. I'm leaning that way. What do you want to do with this one? 6.5.
I'm back in the Packers. This is a bad situation here for Dallas. It's not just the injuries. Obviously, no CD Lamb, which significantly hurts their offense. But you have a Packers team that is coming off of a game. As I mentioned, the Browns are fat and happy after that win. The Packers are angry after that loss. Like, that's a spot I want to back the Green Bay Packers in a bounce-back spot here going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, also, something to keep in mind, the Packers have their bye week next week. And I can't believe that we're already here with bye weeks in the NFL, but since the start of the 2021 season, teams before their bye week are 57% against the spread, but when favored, 67% ATS, 49-25. And that would be the Green Bay Packers as the only favorite of the 4 teams that are playing this week before the bye week. The Falcons, Bears, Packers, and Steelers all have byes next week. But I think this is a great spot to back the Green Bay Packers because they are upset after the loss last week, and they are not going to have a letdown here against the Dallas Cowboys.
I'm squeezing you here. You got 30 seconds, but Giants are getting 6.5 against the Chargers. We got something with Jackson Dart, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go over his longest rush, 13.5 yards. If you look at his performance in college, 11 of 13 games last year at Ole Miss, he had a long rush of at least 13 yards. 10 games in 2023. Go back to 2022, he had 10 games as well. This is a kid that's going to take off and run. His rushing prop is a little too high at over 30-somewhat yards, but I think he'll take off and go for over 13.
Scott, one more time. I got about 20 here. Tell people about Better Day and then also the shows on VSiN.
Yeah, I'll be on VSiN every Saturday and Sunday. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time, and then Sundays during the Sunday night football game. So 4 p.m. Pacific time, taking you through the first half of that game with some live betting situations. So a lot of NFL preview on Saturday nights and live betting on the Sunday nights. And then my daily podcast is called Better Day, Bettor Day, hoping that you make every day a better day.
There you go. Yeah, what a slug. Scott, have a good weekend. Have a winning weekend, most importantly. I'll talk to you.
Take it easy.